All right, welcome back, YouTube. Welcome back to another episode of Dan's Garage. Wow, I need more coffee, as you can see. In this episode, we will actually, you know what? In this garage, we are doing this episode, and we will be installing a OEM bug guard on my 2007 Toyota 4Runner. This is the 4th generation. The bug guard goes up here, wraps around, and covers everything on each side. Now, as you might be able to see, I have used touch-up paint that I have ordered specifically in some of these spots from big old rock chips when I first got this thing. There's a couple down here. There's a bunch right on this edge right there. So, this bug guard / rock guard is going to protect my hood, and it's also going to provide good protection from the windshield getting hit. So, I tried to look up some installation instructions on YouTube. Unless I'm just not typing in the right thing, I couldn't really find anything. So the main point of what I want to get back to this channel is posting stuff where it's not as readily available. I'm going to be having another video coming up shortly about installing the Underdog Racing, or URD, math controller. It is a tuning application for this engine, the V6, the 1GRFE, that does not have VVTi on the exhaust cam. It only has it on the intake cam. So that's the 2003 to 2009 Toyota 4Runner V6. So I'm going to be having that video come up shortly, probably within the next week or two. But for now, and the reason why I bring that up is for the exact same reason. I couldn't find whole lot of anything installing a bug guard on a 4th generation 4Runner. I could find a whole heck of a lot on the 5th generation, but you know, 4th generation. My goal is to show it a little bit of love, and this achieves one of my main goals of filming things and documenting things and posting things about things that it's just hard to find. It's really hard to find some of these on the internet at times. So I have not done this before, thankfully. This has come with instructions, and I'm going to be walking through them and learning myself as I document and as I film. So, pre-installation preparation, cleaning stuff, opening the hood. Well, imagine that, you gotta open the hood. Cleaning stuff, making sure everything's nice and good, ready to go, making sure it's not rusty or scratched or anything like that. So I'm going to come back when I have a little more explanation after I've read, and I will explain, give you kind of the TLDR version of the instructions. I will also post up, because the box that this came in, I just picked it up, is all the way out there by my trash can, which is very far. But I will post up the part number in the description if you wish to get one of these for yourself. So we'll be back, and I will let you know exactly how we're going to proceed. Alrighty, we're back. For me, it's been, 45 minutes. For you, it's been nothing. So the instructions that come with it aren't very good, I'll be honest with you. Most times when you get something, it'll mark like this screw is screw number 1024, or this particular 3M pad is pad number 1. Where are the smaller ones? These particular pads are pads number 2, and they're labeled like on here. It'll say instructions, pad 2, and then there's 2 other ones up above that. So a lot of times that's what they'll say. It's a little confusing because they didn't really say that. Now you can kind of figure it out by the number of pads that they give you, but a lot of the pads that they give you are to protect the factory finish on the chrome paint, or the chrome finish, or whatever you want to call it, on the grill. Now I painted my grill with Plasti Dip, so I didn't really put any tape on the grill itself because I do want to be able to remove this bug guard at times. There's the part number. Sorry. I do want to remove this bug guard, I can talk, at times, in order to repaint this, because Plasti Dip doesn't last forever, and it gets rock chips and stuff like that. However, the biggest thing that I'm running into, these brackets right here, you take They're 10 by 24 screw, and this part slides over that, and it secures directly to this. So there's no washer really on the end, and as you can see, the head is pretty fat, and it just kind of rotates and screws directly onto that. That's not the problem. The problem I'm coming up with is that these brackets are made for a 10 by 24 screw, and I don't know if it's just the finish or if paint or something got in onto these threads, but I could not thread these screws on. I felt like I was stripping them. I felt like I was cross-threading them. So I have a big selection of tap and dies. Well, just it's not a thread chaser, but I have to use this in every single one of these holes to clear it out before I can put the screw in. Otherwise, otherwise I'm messing up the threads on the actual screw. Like, this metal is harder than the metal on the screw, so using the screw to go through, and I'm burgering up the threads on here. So that's the part that I'm at right now. It comes with 4 skinny brackets. 1, 2, 3, 4. Those go on the outer side because you have, 4 positions on the other side. On the outer side, it comes with bracket that hooks on like this, but up here there's a tab up there on either side, and it secures it all that way. It doesn't seem like an incredibly good way to mount it and to secure it, but for OEM, I guess it's not that bad. But the biggest thing that, like I said, that I'm having to work through right now is just working this tap all the way through here to try and make sure that these threads aren't getting boogered. So I managed to find, actually, throughout all these taps that I have, I pulled out the 10 by 24 like instantly. Actually, here's another 10 by 24. So I might use this one instead of this one for no particular reason. But there's another 10 by 24. How many 10 by 24s do I have? Anyway, so I'm just using this now to clean up the threads. Make sure, if you have to do this with yours, if you choose to install this mod, make sure that you're centered up. Make sure that you're not trying to cut new threads here. You are trying to clean up the threads that are already there. So you don't want to be cutting new threads. It's not what you want to do. So I'm going to get these holes cleaned up, and then I will come back. I will report what I find. There's another 10 by 24. Holy crap. How many of these do I have? Okay. I'm going to get these cleaned up, and we'll come back, and we'll see how it looks. Alright, so I will say another quick note. I have all the holes. I redid all the holes with my tap. All the screws go in perfectly now. So that's something that you might have to deal with. But in the instructions, like I said, it gives you a bunch of these pieces of 3M tape to put on your vehicle to make sure that these brackets don't scratch anything. The problem is that it doesn't really describe very well where you should put them. Because like in the instructions, for instance, here, I'll read them. Just because maybe it's me. Maybe I am misinterpreting them. Okay. Install, okay, we're looking at 2B. Install 4 Mylar pads. That's what they're calling the 3M tape, which they don't really, like, nothing on here says Mylar pad. I don't know what the heck a Mylar pad is. I guess it's just a protective film. Anyway, install 4 Mylar pads to the outer bracket sections. Align with holes in the hood. So we have 4 Mylar pads to align with these 4 brackets, 1, 2, and then 2 on the other side. But when it says align with holes, I take that personally to mean that you want to cover up the hole. Like without this here, we remove this little guy. Without that here, cover up the hole with the Mylar pad and kind of go this way with it. Like that way. It doesn't say like how I have this set up, only because with trial and error. I didn't put any tape on until the very end because I wanted to see and make sure that where I was putting it on was going to be the right location. So you line it up right at the very edge, you go down under and wrap up and over, because the top of this bracket right there rests like right on that area right there. So you want this area protected. So I'm going to take the 4 remaining pads, line up. This one doesn't even really touch, but it's the 2 inside ones that touch. They also wanted you to put these Mylar pads under here, but I don't really care about under there. That's black plastic anyway. It doesn't matter to me if it gets a little scratched up, but I do care about the paint. So I'm going to do that. make sure that all these areas are covered, and then we'll come back, hopefully, to probably wrap up. All right, we'll see you soon. Alrighty, so you'll notice something different. It's been a couple hours, actually. Not because of this job, because I had a bunch of other stuff happen. My fiance called me, just kind of started doing a bunch of other stuff around the house. Garage door closed, all that fun stuff. So what I wanted to go over real quick, if you haven't noticed in the last video, you can rewind back and see, I had these flipped upside down. So I had this little jut out portion right here, how it juts that way and come back. I had that flipped over and it jutted down. And the problem that I was running into when I first tried to close the hood on this job is that the screws to hold this up right here were hitting on my headlight housing. And I'm like, that's not right. Something's clearly wrong here. So it took me a little bit to figure it out that I had them flipped incorrectly. And here's why I had them flipped. And this kind of lends back to a little bit of the directions being kind of wonky. Let's see. So I don't know how easy it is going to be for you guys to see. But this picture right here, this is that, these right there are these things. These guys right here. So you can see, I'm hoping you can see, right there is that threaded portion that attaches to the bracket. It's like, it looks like a little donut on top of the bracket right there. I saw that donut, that little donut, I'm gonna call it a donut. And I saw that, let's see if I can't get a better pointing device. I saw that thing right there. Right, I thought this was, I don't know why, because the screw is clearly supposed to be going up through that thing. That is the actual donut. The donut should be facing up top, should be facing up. Well, I saw that right there, and I had it facing down. So it artificially, or mechanically I should say, pushed this whole bumper down, or the whole bug guard down by like ½ an inch. So when I would close the hood, it was hitting on my headlight right here. I'm like, that's not right. So these were installed just fine. These were good. But these took a little bit of time. I had to take everything apart and flip it all over and everything like that. But and then I ended up adjusting my hood, how my hood sits a little bit. But that's just after the fact. But so let's close the hood on this job. We'll take a look. I wish I could back up a little bit more. My garage is closed. It's fixing the rain. But it looks good. It appears pretty secure. I have not driven with it yet, so I don't know if there's any sort of wind noise or anything like that, but I'm pretty happy with it. So one thing I'll go over real quick. Down here, I don't know if you can see, right in there, there's a little foam piece that goes against this metal bracket that I installed against my grill right here. And you're supposed to take, so there's a part it's double-sided foam tape. So one part I peeled off and stuck to the metal bracket. You're supposed to take the other side off and stick it to the grill. Well, I still like the thought and the idea of having this grill painted. So this is plastic dipped all right here. So if I was to stick it to that, there'd be no way for me to, unstick it. This tape is super freaking sticky. So I decided to leave the back on and not take that off. So it's still cushioning, so it's not rubbing up against and scratching and making it all weird. But I can easily take this bug guard off now and repaint this grill should I choose to, so which I probably will sometime in the spring, just because I like the way that it looks. So not too terribly difficult. The instructions weren't extremely helpful. I'll pop the hood on it real quick just so I can go over real quick sort of overview. I'd say, because I wasn't able to find a video on it, it took me probably a good hour and a half just to try to figure out where everything goes. Because you look at the directions and it says, hey, put the tape here. And it's a super awful picture where it wants you to put the tape. And so I decided to install everything first to try and see where it wanted me to start putting this tape. So if you guys decide to do this mod yourself, the 4 small pieces of 3M tape go along here and wrap over to the front, okay? just so that it protects everything. The two larger squares of Mylar tape, or whatever the heck it's called, are supposed to go under there to protect this bracket, but that's already black plastic. I don't really care if that scratches. And then the two double-sided foam tapes are supposed to go where I was just looking. You guys are upside down. Let's try that. Right down in there, and it's supposed to stick to the grill. So, not too terribly difficult. Comes with all the hardware that you need. Because like I said, because I couldn't really find a whole lot on YouTube about it, I was kind of hoping that I wasn't going to have to drill into anything, and I didn't have to, so that's always a win. It appears to be pretty solidly on there. I mean, so how these anchor in here is that there's a I think you probably saw it in earlier on in the video, is that there's these little rubber, I don't even know what to call them, but little rubber things that go in there, kind of look like wall anchors for like drywall, and they slide up in there. It has a threaded portion. Well, as you as you start to tighten that screw, it pulls the screw down, and it kind of flattens out that rubber part against it, so it kind of seals on the inside so that no water and crap gets up in there and is trapped so that it starts to rust or anything like that. So it secures like that here. And the biggest issue that I said that I've already I've talked about, the biggest issue is that these holes right here where these screws came in, make sure, I mean, you can run them in, without a tap. But it's my personal preference. If I was running into it and it didn't have a tap, I would have probably gone out and bought one. They're super cheap. You can find them at just about any hardware store. And it's a 10 by 24. It even says in the instructions, secure using the 10 by 24 half-inch screws. So if you're curious or questioning which one you should get, which sort of tap you should get, if you do decide to do this mod, I'd probably have one either borrowed or on standby, just because these holes, I don't know if they were just sloppy with the paint, if it was just mine, but the holes didn't really line up for me. I was really struggling to put the screw through that, so that's just not necessary. The good thing about that, the other good thing is that when it's closed, we'll close it again. When it's closed, like it can't get stolen. There's no way for you to get these screws out down here or even under here or anything. Like, you could probably get these screws out, but so let's say you get those screws out, you're still not getting these out. So it can't really be stolen, which I kind of like. So that is a bug guard on a 4Runner. I can go over step by step. I think the biggest problem with me is that, like, if I know how to do the job, I have no problem leaving the camera running and going step by step and looking at it and making sure everything's good and providing good footage. But if I'm trying to figure something out for the first time, I kind of forget to leave the camera rolling. Not because I'm afraid of making mistakes on camera. I mean, that's just part of life. But like, I just get caught up in reading the directions, and I just get caught up trying to make everything look good and everything like that. So then it's all installed, and I look back at my camera that's off sitting on my workbench, and I'm like, oh crap. And at that point, I don't feel like taking everything apart to redo the whole job again. So that's my fault. But it is just 6 screws here, and then, well, 6 big screws, and then 4 little ones that hold it on here. So it's not too terribly difficult. Like I said, the instructions, I'd give the instructions a 5 out of 10. Honestly, they don't really do. And these are from Toyota. Like these, it's an OEM part with an OEM directions, and they don't do a very good job. I think these directions are probably made for the techs at Toyota when you choose this option, when you pick up your 4Runner brand new, or if you choose to get it installed at the dealer. Like the techs can do it because they've probably put 1,000 of these on in the last year. So you can follow them, you can use reasoning, you can use the rule of deduction to figure out which thing they're talking about, but I just kind of wish that everything was labeled a little bit better. That's all. But if you have any questions, please comment, let me know. As far as I know, this is the only 4th gen 4Runner bug guard install. I understand, like I said, that it's not really like a good step-by-step install, but it did come with directions. Like I said, they're about a 5 out of 10. They're not amazing, they're not awful, but follow the directions. If you need any help, please reach out, comment, I can get a Discord. I think I have a Discord up and running, so we can have discussions on there. But the main problems that I ran into, like I said, were these bolts, or the screws not really lining up. The threads were kind of boogered, and that's about it. Make sure you have these flipped the right way, otherwise it's not going to close. So in all honesty, because I had to undo these a couple times, I probably could have just done the job all over again. So if that's the case, when I go to paint this, I'm going to remove it anyway. So I will probably do an updated video. I'm just trying to get ready, clean up my house. I'm trying to get ready for my bachelor party tonight. So when I do decide to repaint this sometime this summer, I will take this off and I'll leave the camera running. I'll show exactly how I put everything on, where I put everything. Or if somebody has like, hey, I can't get this, please show me. I will make a response video for that. But like I said, not too terribly difficult. If you have any other questions, like I said, please comment, you know, subscribe, all that fun stuff. I don't know what the bell is, so you don't have to ring that, but whatever. This is an episode of Dan's Garage. I hope you guys learned something. Please let me know, and we'll see you next time. Bye.